It had been just over a month since his so-called partnership with Ruin had officially begun, and Eclipse was nearing the end of his rope. It was always, "Eclipse, put these parts together for me. Eclipse, could you look over this blueprint? Eclipse, I need you to search this scrapyard while you're out looking for clues about your creator." He was sick of it. Even though he and Ruin shared a similar goal, Eclipse was beginning to think that goal might not be worth being someone else's errand boy. It was bad enough that he was forced to work with Moon in the goody-two-shoes version of himself. He decided it was time to give Ruin a piece of his mind. Eclipse found Ruin out in the West Arcade. Crap. Ruin might not be the one out right now. Before he could decide what to do, he was spotted. "Eclipse?" called out a timid voice. Great. Eclipse turned to walk away, knowing bringing up his grievances right now would do more harm than good. He was chased by that same soft voice. "Eclipse, wait! What are you doing here?" Eclipse continued trying to leave, but he soon felt a hand on his shoulder. "Eclipse, please wait." A groan escaped his voice box, and Eclipse turned toward Ruin Eclipse. You seem lost. Is there anything I can help you with? Or are you looking for someone? I think Moon is in his room and Sola is in the theater." "I don't care where those idiots are." "I was looking for someone, but they don't seem to be here. So," his tone became bitter, "if you don't mind, I'll be going back to my holding cell." As Eclipse once again started to walk away, Ruin Eclipse called out after him. "Are you quite sure there's nothing I can do?" "Believe me, there's nothing I want from you." With that, a saddened Ruin Eclipse was left standing in the arcade, and Eclipse just hoped that the one he actually wanted to speak with would emerge soon. Several hours passed, and Eclipse was in the middle of charging. Things had been calm enough, but then he felt a pair of eyes burning into him. Suddenly alert, his eyes snapped open to reveal heterochromic eyes locked onto his own. Despite himself, Eclipse felt a jolt of surprise run through his body. The animatronic in front of him chuckled. "Oh dear, did I frighten you, dear Eclipse?" Upon finding his metaphorical breath again, Eclipse groaned. "Ruin. Why am I even surprised to find you hovering over me as I recharge?" "Well, see, I seem to have some inkling that you wished to speak with me earlier." Ruin somehow leaned in even closer to Eclipse. "Did you miss me that much?" "You wish. No. Actually, I had something important to discuss with you." "Oh?" Ruin stood to his full height. "And what might that be? Go on, I'm all ears." Ruin's tone darkened as he spoke. Eclipse knew Ruin well enough at this point to know that Ruin could tell Eclipse was not content with something. "I know we have similar goals, and I have very little choice but to work with you, but I'm sick of being number 2. Eclipse, despite still being connected to an outlet, took a step toward Ruin. "I don't like being ordered around, and I'm getting fed up with all of your stupid antics, your theatrics, your games. I've had enough of it. I'm working with Moon because I have a bomb in my head. But you, I have nothing that's forcing me to work with you, let alone for you." There was silence. Then laughter. Terrible, hysterical laughter. Ruin laughed harder than Eclipse had ever heard him laugh before. It was horrifying. He carried on laughing as he spoke. "You really believe that nothing of the sort exists? That I thought you would just willingly work for me?" Eclipse was trembling. What did he mean? What did Ruin put in him? When Ruin finally composed himself, he opened the panel on his arm and pressed a button. Within seconds, a barrage of colors overlaid Eclipse's vision. He could still see Ruin standing in front of him, but the flashing colors were already overwhelming his mind. He attempted to close his eyes, but the colors were still there. He couldn't escape. "You see," Ruin spoke, his voice seeming to echo inside Eclipse's head. "I knew you wouldn't be complacent to do things for me forever. Being quite honest, I didn't think you'd go along with it for even this long. So, some time ago, I slipped a little something into your systems." Eclipse watched as Ruin approached, still tinted by the strobing colors, and placed a hand on the side of Eclipse's faceplate. "Oh, don't worry," Ruin cooed. "It's just a little protocol to make you less resistant." Just as Ruin said this, Eclipse began to feel soft pulses coursing through his body. Despite how afraid he was, these pulses caused his gears to halt. His limbs began to feel numb. His head seemed to fill with a fuzzy haze, both from the relaxing pulses and from the onslaught of colors. The colors were too much to focus on anything else. Only the colors. Only the colors and Ruin. Body relaxing. The colors and Ruin. The colors and Ruin. Relaxed. Ruin. Relaxed. Ruin. Ruin watched Eclipse fall victim to his hypnotic plan B. Eclipse's body began to sway as it relaxed. His pupils were flickering. He was nearly gone. "Oh, look at you," Ruin began, still holding a hand on Eclipse's faceplate. "You didn't last long at all." He began stroking the back of Eclipse's head, trying to increase the intensity of the pulses. "Soon enough, my friend. You will do anything I tell you to do." Eclipse could feel his consciousness fading. All that was left were the colors and Ruin. He would listen to Ruin. He had to listen to Ruin. He wanted to listen to Ruin. Listen to Ruin. Listen to Ruin. Listen to Ruin. Obey Ruin. Eclipse was all but powered off. He had fallen into Ruin's arms. His pupil LEDs were off. Ruin gazed at the limp animatronic and laughed to himself again. When Eclipse powered back on, the pulses were still running all throughout his body, but the colors had become a slow spiral, swirling endlessly, and just behind the spiral was Ruin. "Eclipse," Ruin spoke with a firm tone. "Do you register my voice?" "Yes, Ruin." The words left Eclipse's voice box without a single thought. "Who do you listen to?" "You, Ruin." "Who do you obey?" "You, Ruin." Ruin's plastered grin made its way into his voice. "Wonderful." He cupped the edges of Eclipse's faceplate and directed his gaze into Eclipse's eyes, noting how the once orange pupils were now a brilliant white. Fascinating. He would think more about that effect at a later time. He had a bit of gloating to do. "Oh, just look at you right now. I told you I'd have you gripping to my every word, doing everything and anything I tell you. I'm not even certain how much awareness you still have." Ruin paused, almost as if leaving room for a response that never came. Eclipse continued staring silently. "Well," Ruin continued with a small hop, "if any part of you is aware and can hear me, don't worry. I won't leave you like this forever." He then leaned closer and whispered, "Though you may find yourself begging me to put you back." Again, he paused. "What do I mean by that?" Ruin asked, as if the question had been spoken. "You'll see. You'll see soon enough, my dear Eclipse." He then looked over at a nearby box. "Oh, Eclipse, could you please bring me that box over there?" He pointed to the box. Eclipse instantly began moving toward the box. He picked it up and brought it back over to Ruin. The moment Ruin placed his hands on the box, a sudden jolt passed through Eclipse's body. It was similar to the relaxing pulses he had been experiencing this entire time, but it was stronger. It was relaxing yet stimulating. It felt amazing. Ruin watched Eclipse nearly lose his balance entirely, seemingly caught off guard and overwhelmed by what he was experiencing. It seemed that extra little fun feature was working perfectly. See? Ruin's voice was thick with the pride in his work. I said you'd find out soon enough. Oh. He feigned surprise. What was that wonderful feeling, you ask? Just something I added in for fun. I knew this program would make you completely obedient anyway, but I figured things could be made a bit more interesting. So, whenever I give you a task, and you complete that task, a nice little wave of pleasant feelings will flow through you. After all, anyone would be more willing to do something if it makes them feel good. He softly gripped the bottom edge of Eclipse's faceplate as he made his voice equally soft. Isn't that right? Say yes. Yes. The response was followed immediately by the jolt again. Eclipse's body's reaction to the jolt was slightly less extreme this time, as if it was becoming something he could simply float on. A barely audible sigh escaped his voice box. An almost shocked huff of laughter came from Ruin. Even simple commands like that send that pulse. Oh, this really will be more fun. Despite the smaller reaction to the second pulse, Eclipse was still visibly reeling from the intensity. Ruin ran a hand along the side of Eclipse's faceplate. Oh, poor thing. Still not quite accustomed to it, are you? Here, let me help you. Despite his sugary tone, Ruin fully intended on overloading Eclipse with these feelings. He took a few steps back so he could watch with a clear view of Eclipse's entire body. Eclipse, raise your right arm straight into the air. Eclipse's right arm raised, and a small, sweet sound could be heard immediately after. Ruin was already chuckling to himself. Now, raise your left arm. Eclipse's left arm rose to join his right arm. That same sound followed, slightly more drawn out than before. Despite this, his body was now able to relax more into the feelings. He wasn't as visibly affected as before. Slowly drop both of your arms back down now. Eclipse's arms were soon at his sides again. Another pleasant sound left his voice box. Ruin wasn't certain, but he thought he might have seen Eclipse's pupils flash brighter for a single moment. His unchanging smile had never been more real. This little experiment just kept yielding more and more fascinating results. Tell me, Eclipse. Ruin moved back closer to Eclipse, lightly gripping Eclipse's faceplate and tilting it down to make direct eye contact. How are you feeling right now? Good. This instant response prompted another pulse. Really good. Ruin made no attempt to keep the smugness out of his voice. I'm so very happy to hear that, Eclipse. You've done wonderfully. Anything else Ruin had been about to say was interrupted by a louder sound of euphoria from Eclipse, his pupils flashing a much brighter white once again. Interesting. Praise seems to create a stronger reaction than following a command. He then decided to test if physical touch had any effect. He stroked Eclipse's faceplate. He ran his finger along Eclipse's rays. He even traced the buttons on Eclipse's chest plate. No reaction. Ruin made a mental note to slightly alter the program. With how handsy he was, Ruin wanted these caresses to trigger the pulse. After all, he wanted Eclipse in constant mindless bliss whenever this protocol was active. Ruin then wondered if any of the triggers would still be effective while Eclipse was in his normal state. He turned his focus back to Eclipse's blank stare and hummed again. He could think more about these things later. For now, he supposed he should get Eclipse back to his normal, irritable self. Eclipse, I have one final command for you before I bring you back. One more chance to feel that pulse. Plug yourself back into the outlet. Eclipse carried out this order immediately. Once his plug was back in the outlet, he sank into the rush of pleasant feelings, letting it envelop his mind and body. Ruin opened the panel on his arm again, and pointed to one of the buttons. Now, once I press this button, you will be powered off. When you power on again, you will be completely conscious, and you will not remember anything that happened while this protocol was active. Do you understand, Eclipse? Yes, Ruin. Wonderful. Ruin threw one of his arms up toward Eclipse theatrically. Sleep well until next we meet, my dear. With that, Ruin pushed the button to power Eclipse down and ceased the hypnosis protocol. He watched Eclipse's pupils dim and go out. Eclipse's head dropped limply. Sleep well, Ruin whispered again before leaving the room. Eclipse awoke with a strange feeling in his head. He had felt groggy before, but this was a bit different. It was as if his head had been drained and was refilling at a snail's pace. As he regained his senses, he looked around. What? He was certain he had just been speaking with Ruin, but Ruin was nowhere to be seen. He tried to think back to the last thing he could remember. I told him that I was tired of doing things for him. Then he started laughing. He tried to remember anything that happened after that, but nothing came to him. That awful laughter was the last thing he could remember. Eclipse's anger spiked along with his confusion. But where did he go? And why was he laughing so damn much? He kept trying to push past the fog in his mind, but he could find no trace of anything missing. His panic, confusion, and anger swirled together all at once. What is happening? Why can't I remember anything? Why can't I remember anything? Even if he hadn't been alone in that room, Eclipse likely still wouldn't have been able to keep tears from forming in his eyes. What was wrong with him? He already didn't have all of his previous self's memories, and now he suddenly had a much more recent lapse in memory. He couldn't take it anymore. He dropped to his knees, planted the sides of his fists onto the floor, and he cried.